I am going to mention one topic that I haven't mentioned like ever here. I'm going to talk about the red pill bros. And I don't know if you know the guys in this picture, but this was something that was popping up all over my timeline, and I needed to address a couple things about this. You might have heard about Andrew Tate, of course, which we haven't mentioned here. You have mentioned it passingly. I'm going to say a couple things about the War Room. Nick Fuentes, okay, this dwarf who is this super right wing. It's not even right wing, it's far right. I don't know. It's Myron Gaines, which is another deranged guy. Just in case I'm going to present you, if you don't know them, I think it's important to know these guys. Tristan Tate, which is the other of the Tate brothers. Sneeko, which is an influencer also. No, all these people. The common denominator is that they all hate women. That is the common denominator. This is that the easiest way. Let's start from there. Okay, this is J.D. Waller. He's a bit distorted. He doesn't look like that, but he's a bit distorted. He's like Andrew Tate's right-hand man. And last but not least, this is a guy, I don't know his real name, Clavicular. A guy who has basically used everything from cocaine to meth to literally banging his head with a hammer or something like that to have this, to testosterone replacement to look like this. Okay, the guy is really committed to the Giga Chat meme, and he's not worried about basically destroying his endocrine system. So they gather. They got this, boys' night together. Boys' night together. And again, people were talking about Nick Fuentes because it seems that I have no idea. And I really don't care what anybody does with their ass. But so many people say that Nick Fuentes is gay and he doesn't want to say it. He doesn't want to come out of the closet. I think that is his prerogative. All right. But it was obvious that the guy was, that with all this chat surrounded by women, but at the same time they hate women, he was not comfortable. And that was a bit, he was trying to, I'm going to mute this. We don't need the music and the stuff. And they were chanting this Kanye West song, Heil Hitler. You know that Kanye West composed this song about Heil Hitler, and they went doing the Nazi salute and everything because, that's what makes you cool nowadays. I guess that's something that makes you edgy. They were all doing the same thing. I mean, this is what you're looking at. What you're looking at. This is what is like hell for me. I mean, I couldn't imagine of a worse place to be. Loud music, people just posing as alpha chads that at the same time they are alpha chads, but they hate women. I don't know how that works. And of course, when Andrew Tate has been interviewed by, for example, Piers Morgan, who never loses an opportunity to try to have some numbers for his show, I remember that was funny, that Piers Morgan tried to confront Andrew Tate on her first interview, and he realized that he had bigger numbers than any other guest that he had. So he invited Andrew Tate more times, and he did not confront Andrew Tate those other times. And, we're talking about Piers Morgan, the same thing that saying Benny Johnson or Megyn Kelly is the same stuff. We're talking about the same stuff. But we have nice takes like Chrissy Mayer. Tonight I learned the hottest new influencer is the 19-year-old who took so much testosterone his own body stopped producing it, rendering him infertile. Also, he used to hit himself in the face with a hammer to be more attractive. We are not making this up. The guy is online doing that. And what people are saying is that it's a bit sad that Andrew Tate is pushing 40 years old and he is still pretending that this is something cool to do. And one of the things that I want to mention is that is that, by the way, they were singing this, really, let's say, not pro-Jewish song, but was a very pro the Austrian vegan painter. And it seems that Andrew Tate himself backpedaled from this. From Mario Knopfel, Andrew Tate, this was, according to Mario Knopfel, this was from Andrew Tate's camp. Andrew Tate had no involvement in the song being played or requested. He has no control over what a venue or others choose to play, and strongly questions why such a reckless decision was made. But at the same time, I saw, you can see it for yourself, that he is laughing while the Heil Hitler song was playing. It is not that usual. We see Andrew Tate backpedaling on something. So I think that this is a first time. I think this is a time of the time, and they were in this kind of limo. All of them, they look pretty gay. Like, it is not an homophobic joke. You know that like that South Park episode, and when they establish the difference between being gay and being gay. This is a bit, I don't know, shameless anti-Semitism. We already mentioned that, but I want to mention a couple of things that I found interesting. Found this. I want to mention this. This is what I wanted to mention about Andrew Tate, and I want to talk about the War Room, because I want to mention that, yes, some of you already know that I joined Andrew Tate's War Room back in 2020. Okay, that could be shocking for some of you, but I'm going to tell you my experience after this clip. In this clip, Andrew Tate explains how he raises his 5-year-old. Okay, this is what he does. Okay, this is muted, so sorry. Okay, now?
I take my son, he's 5. I said to him, if you want to get good at anything in life, it's going to be boring. You're going to get good at being boring. He said, yes, sir. I sit him on the couch. No Nintendo, no TV, no phone, no iPad. Sits there with a cup of water. And I go to work for fucking 6 hours. Doesn't fucking move, doesn't say a fucking word, because he's scared for his fucking life. It's not because I hate it, it's because I love it. You can raise him that way. This whole idea that kids are unruly is coat Western bullshit.
So he is bragging that he is raising his 5-year-old son to be comfortable with being bored as in, and he uses the word terrified, being on the couch with just a glass of water for 6 hours while Tate is working, and just being there with nothing, not even a book. By the way, Tate said at some point that books were overrated, that you should learn from life directly. That is the kind of insanity that we're talking about. And again, I haven't spoken about this. This is what all this crazy, super, ultra feminist world, ultra woke world has pushed forward. The backlash was a few years ago. I mean, I think that this has been like a sunset by now. All this red pill, because the story of him treating his kid like this, we have two options. The two options is, the first option is, he actually did that, or he actually does that, and that is child abuse. Or the other option is, he doesn't do that, and he's saying that only to brag for his audience, because his audience, is, we have to have this stoic, or I don't know, alpha chat energy, and the alpha chat energy is nurtured from a very young age, and this is how you have to treat your sons for, I don't know, you think you're some kind of Spartan or something, because of, you could at least give the boy a Dostoevsky book, if you want, actually, that would be fair. If you want to actually torture the kid, you give him a James Joyce book, but that is against the Geneva Convention. That is actually way too much. But again, this is either child abuse or just posturing. In either way, you're watching somebody bragging about that in front of a camera for an audience, for a captured audience, the same that Candace Owens has a captured audience. It's the same way that Andrew Tate has a captured audience. And you remember that Candace Owens interviewed Andrew Tate at some point. And that's why I reminded you that Benny Johnson, a very, let's say, prominent influencer in the conservative in the United States, with two daughters, he interviewed Andrew Tate and was happy to have Andrew Tate in his show. And you remember that when he had Andrew Tate, Alina Habba also was so giddy with Andrew Tate until she found out about all the accusations, and then she backpedaled. Everybody's backpedaling at some point. But then I want to tell you about my experience with the War Room and what I think all this. This is basically many things, of course. So many Andrew Tate fans are gonna tell me, but he hasn't been convicted of anything, and that is true. He has not been convicted of anything. There are accusations out there, but I think that common sense, when you see the way that somebody talks and the arguments that they have, like this argument, okay, this is him talking like this, okay? You don't need this kind of people to be convicted of anything to know this is not somebody that I want to listen to. And I have to say that I listened to Andrew Tate back in 2020. I did not know about all those accusations. That's on me, of course. That is me not doing due diligence. I think that there were not that many accusations back then, but I don't want to put any responsibility out of myself, because I'm responsible of my acts. And I joined the War Room, Andrew Tate's War Room, in 2020. And it was basically a contest of who was posturing the most. It was this like club on how to, do the things that they knew how to do, including but not limited to the PhD program. That was the pimping house degree. It was basically the Romeo method of seducing women to do what you want. And yeah, that's why it's so difficult to prove that he did anything to these women. But again, that is another story. The story is that I was on a very low point in my life. Maybe I will tell you at some point my own story, in the sense of a problem in terms of a father figure. All right, and myself, I have problems with that. I have issues with that. And of course, those issues and issues in terms of my personal life and professional life at that point led me to, okay, I'm going to try this, so let's see if I can get something out of this. Was basically nothing. I got nothing out of that. I did get some dudes from that group trying to sell me things. So that was like an overhyped Herbalife circle. So that was it. So yes, again, it was not the best experience. It was not a bad experience, because it was like a lukewarm experience. I don't know, maybe your mileage may vary, but when you see that this is his arguments about the people, and this is the people that he hangs out with, and this is the dudes who hang out with, don't get me started with what these guys say online, then you know what you're dealing with. And the saddest part, there are a lot of people who have understood that as everything, this is a grift. Again, this is a grift. How does this grift work? You identify an archetype that is maybe not being served in the collective of some group, right? Some massive group. In this case, young men. And young men have this empty archetype that is not being served. You become that archetype. You make sure to become that persona and bring that persona to the masses, so you fulfill that need for those masses to, well, have a figure. So Candace Owens does that. Andrew Tate does that. That is something that you actually do to have a following. The problem is that once you get involved in that archetype, you cannot get out of that archetype because you already belong to that archetype, and the audience that you capture that audience because of the archetype that you were embodying. You understand that? That's why it's so difficult for Candace Owens to backtrack on some stuff. That's why I find it lame that Andrew Tate is releasing some kind of announcement that he had nothing to do with Kanye West's song "Hi Hitler" playing on that disco that plays against his alpha chat archetype. What happened there? I don't know. Maybe he got the call from the Jews. I don't know, but I needed to talk about this. This is the problem. And again, I fell for it in 2020. That can happen. This is the problem when you have a lot of people, a massive amount of people. It could be young, it could be old, it could be men, women. It doesn't matter, who have this unfulfilled need for a figure to follow. And when that figure, somebody assumes the form of that figure, that someone is going to have a lot of audience. But at the same time, will be tied to that audience like a ball and chain. So maybe is it worth it in the end? I don't know. But that's one word that I don't know, that I respect a lot. That is karma. I could be Christian, I could be Catholic, but I believe in karma as well. I'm really eclectic, and I know I think eclectic is not the word. Maybe I take what I know that works from different religions, and I think that karma is an actual thing, and the debt that you're accruing in terms of karma, that is not worth it. You will have the fame, you will have the attention, you will have the money today, but you will have to pay the karma debt at some point. And the more the energy invested and the more energy of the masses, the bigger of the karma it will be. So it is what it is. You get to choose. You have free will. You can do as you please, but you have to face the consequences. I think that is a recurrent theme, but I want to know what you think about this in the comments. And I'm keeping an eye on your live